welcome back. So in this video, I'm going to be doing a review of The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. This is book one in what is currently, I believe, a duology. And this one I actually listened to an audiobook. And there will be a spoiler part of the video towards the end, and I'll put that up on the screen when that's coming. So if you want to, you can leave. But as of right now, this is like the non-spoilery part. This book. Okay. I have a lot of thoughts and opinions in this book. If you follow me on Goodreads, I've already done a review on it, and you can kind of see where I lie. I gave it 3 stars because I was just like in the middle of the road. It's so hard to like go into this book. I was hyped for this book. I was actually really excited for it. I had stayed away from it from so long because I was scared it was going to be one of those like feminist books, I guess, that just like bashes men, and I didn't want to read about that, but I heard it was different, and it is different, you know. It doesn't do what I thought it was going to do. It just doesn't execute it at all, really. I have so many thoughts on this book. Oh my gosh. Okay, where to begin? I will start off saying this. The premise of this book is really cool. Like, the overall arching idea for this book was by far like the best. Like, it's about this girl. I don't remember her name. Like, that's how much like the character stuck with me. I don't know her name. I'll put it on the screen somewhere. I'm too lazy to look it up. But it's about this girl, and the society has been taken over. The government's been shut down. It's been, you know, revamped, I guess would be the word for it. And now men are essentially in control, and women, there are different classes of women. And the overall goal for these women, I forget what the name of like the class that the main character is in, but for her, it's to get pregnant. If you don't get pregnant, then I think you're killed, just for, you know, repopulation purposes and all that. So that like really intrigued me. I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be good. And she's like sold off to her family, and you know, the husband can do things, I guess. She's his, I guess would be the way to put it. And you know, it's just like one of those relationships where like there's a mutual understanding between everyone that this is kind of what has to be done, but no one really likes it except for the husband, I think. I'm not completely sure. But anyway, yeah, the premise for this book was what hooked me. Like, I've been wanting to read this book for years, but again, I was scared it'd be like, you know, something else, but that's besides the point. And so I was like super excited to get into it. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Let's go. I really enjoyed the voice actress for this. I listened to it on Audible, and I really liked the beginning of it. Like, when she was like describing everything, how everything worked, I'm like, this is actually really cool. Like, it's a suppressed society. You know, it's almost like Divergent or Hunger Games, where they're like class systems, and you have to do what you're told, or else you'll be, you know, killed and punished or whatnot. And so I really like that, but it's different from those, you know, other dystopian books. And like, for me, you know, Hunger Games and Divergent, they're very similar. This like stood out, and I was super excited to read it. I'm like, yes, this is truly original. There's no like, you know, hopping on top of a bandwagon with this one, or, you know, taking someone else's work. Like, this looks truly original. I was ready for it. And then after like all the descriptors were done with and over with, and you know, we got a sense of the world, the book just fell apart. Like, I'm trying not to bash this author, like she's done great things. Like, she has like a Hulu series and like, you know, other stuff like that. So I have to, you know, praise her for that it has that much attention. I mean, my sister watches the show and she loves it. I just need to get her a password and I'll watch it too. But like, this book, I don't even know where to begin with like the bad things. Ugh. So like, I will say this. If I had picked up the physical copy and read it, and this is also another thing that like kept me from reading this book for so long, was that there are no quotation marks. If I had actually picked up this book and read it, I would have probably given this a 1 or 2 stars, not a 3, because there were no quotation marks, and that just like bugs the heck out of me. Like, I can't do that. There has to be quotation marks. Like, just please follow the simple grammatical rules that we have set in place for books. That's all I'm asking. I don't know if it's a stylistic choice. I don't think it was, because I've like looked through a page or so of the second book and there are quotation marks. So I don't know what happened there, but there have been plenty of reprints of The Handmaid's Tale to add in quotation marks, but they're still not there. So yeah, that's another reason why I didn't read it, because I knew I wouldn't like that. But then I found the audiobook and I decided to give it a chance. You know, of course, it doesn't bug me if there are no quotation marks if, you know, I'm listening to it. So, I don't know. Let's talk about characters. The characters were not really that well developed in the story. Like, I didn't really care for any of them. Like almost towards the end of the book, she would, like, mention someone, and I'd be like, wait, who is that? Have they been introduced before? Like, who are we talking? Like, I just, like, no one embedded itself in my mind. Like, even the main character, I can't even remember her name. Like, I don't know. I think the only character that stuck in my mind, and I don't even know if it's his actual name, was the commander. The person that, you know, she lived with, him. He was really the only name that stuck in my mind. I don't know. The characters I just didn't care about. They weren't well developed, if we're being honest. I just didn't care about them. I didn't care about anything that happened. I couldn't remember more than half of them. Yeah, I was just like, oh, okay, sorry, I guess, but I don't know who you are. And I think this wasn't a plot-based novel. Like, it's clearly not a plot-based novel, because it literally just, like, there's no, like, consistency to the plot. Like, usually it's, like, day to day, or, like, ceremony happens this day, and something else happens this day. Like, it's not, like, a continual thing like The Hobbit was, where it's, like, this one big journey. It's not like that. It's just not. So, it's just not like that. So, it's not a character. So it's not a plot-driven novel, so I can't even excuse the lack of character based on it being, you know, plot-driven. It's just there was no characters at all. Like, I didn't care about a single one of them. I couldn't remember more than half of them. They weren't developed. Like, even her best friend, like, I didn't care for. Like, no one in this book I actually cared for. And I feel like that was, like, totally wasted, because I feel like, you know, these characters, especially in this society, especially her and her best friend in this society, being both women, you know, having to do this, there could have been some deep character moments between them that would have, you know, helped cement them in this world, or, you know, talk about what they're going through. But none of that happens. It's like, just like conversations with, I want to leave. Oh, so do I. Oh, that's cool. Let's go. No, I'm too scared. Like, it's like, it doesn't further the characters. Like, who wouldn't want to leave in a situation like that? Like, no one's happy here. So, like, that didn't, like, make me feel sorry for them in the slightest that they wanted to go, because everyone wants to go. So, like, I wish that there would have been, like, a little bit more character development, so I could have, you know, related to, or, you know, if not even related to, just, like, slightly cared about the characters. Like, just a bit, like, just a tad I wanted to care about them. I just didn't. Now let's talk about the plot. For me, and I could be wrong about this, to be fair, because I listened to this a while ago. This was in my February wrap-up. So I listened to this in February, like over a month ago. So I could be wrong about this. If I am, feel free to correct me in the comments below. This is just what I remember. There isn't really a particular plot. It's just one random event to the next random event to the next random event that somehow just, like, connects barely. Some of these random events work, like, really well. Like, the lady, I don't even know her name, giving birth, like, that connected, you know, to the society and what was going on there, and it did, like, the hidden thoughts, and I really liked that. There are a few other scenes with her and the commander talking that I liked, because it was, you know, essentially mind games between them, like, trying to figure out what the other one wanted, essentially, if they could be trusted or not. Like, I liked those conversations with them. Like, those were well done. But there wasn't really, like, a plot, if that makes sense. Like, it never felt connected. like until the very end, and even then some of the scenes I was like, you could have taken that scene out and that scene and that scene, like really you only needed these, but like nothing like of significance happened. Like this girl just does things, I guess. Like I don't even know how to explain it. I know I'm doing a terrible job at this and I apologize. It's just like I don't know how to explain a story that isn't character based, so I can't go into depth on that. But it also isn't plot based, so I can't go into depth on the plot. All I can tell you is that it's a dystopian world. She doesn't like being in it. She doesn't like the relationship that she's in. But there are these people who, if you like rebel against them, then you're killed and captured and stuff like that. Okay, so I just looked at my Goodreads review. Thank God I did that after I wrote that because I forgot some of my main points. But so one of the points that I haven't mentioned yet is that the side rants are too long and too often. Like this character, she'll like look around a gym or something and she'll go on this huge, like, you know, like 5-10 minute backstory about something at random, and then I'm completely taken out of the scene, and then we jump back into it. I'm like, which scene are we in particularly? Like, this is one of the problems that I had with Where the Crawdads Sing, and I gave that book 5 stars because, you know, the other stuff in it was really good. So, like, this one, it just didn't flow. Like, the side rants took me out of the scene. I didn't particularly care about them. I really only cared about, like, the past rants, I guess, about her talking about her husband and her child. Like, that was a great mystery to have about, like, I wonder if my husband's dead in the ditch or being tortured or if he's, you know, in a commander's position. Like I really like that. Like, that invoked me in some mystery. Same thing with her daughter. Like, what happened to her? Like, those side rants I could kind of put up with, but they came really at random times. Like, I wasn't expecting them. They would just pop out of nowhere. Like, there was no transition or lead in or anything that, like, made her memory go into it or anything like that. It was just random, which kind of confused me. And I was like, oh, are we in a different scene now? I guess that we are. Okay, then. So, yeah, that's basically all I got for the non-spoiler type. So now we're going to enter into the spoiler review. So if you don't want this book to be spoiled, then it was nice seeing you. Have a nice day. If you do, welcome. So, towards the end, I got even more confused, and I don't even know how that's possible. I remember it specifically, I was driving in my car, right, on my way home from school. I'm listening to the book, and then all of a sudden, the narration switched to, like, almost like a second POV, like, it's like she was talking to someone or like a journal or something, and I got extremely confused. I'm like, whoa, is this a journal? Is she, like, this has never been established before that, like, she was talking to the audience. Like, up until this point, it's been first person limited, like, just her thoughts, herself, and now suddenly she's randomly talking to someone. It's not talking, like, in terms of quotations. I know that. It's talking in terms of, you wouldn't believe what I had to go through. Like, she was talking to, like, the reader, and, like, I literally just, like, in my car, I went, wait, what? And I had to rewind the thing to make sure that I hadn't skipped anything. I was more than confused. Like, I don't understand why that P.O. Bob switch happened. Like, it was unneeded, unnecessary, didn't add anything. It wasn't a stylistic choice, I don't think. I mean, like, you was told in second POV, but that's throughout the continuation of the book, from what I've been told. It better be. It better be throughout the continuation of the book. But I just don't get why, like, it would go from first to second. Like, something similar kind of happened in The Silent Patient, but that was because he was writing in a diary or something like that. Like, he was, like, talking essentially to himself or about something like that. She's not talking to anyone. Like, there's no one in the room with her. It's not a diary. I don't believe that she writes in her diary. I don't think she has one. I don't think she's allowed to have one. But it just overall confused me. And I was like, and that kind of continued until, like, the end of the story where she was just, like, randomly talking to the audience. And I didn't like it. I was like, this is taking me 100% out of the story. Please stop. Let's just watch it from your perspective. I don't care, potentially, what you have to say to me. Just say it and I'll get it. Like, I was so confused by this. Like, it's unneeded, it's unnecessary. It wasn't a stylistic choice. It came at the most, like, random of times. It just confused me. And that might just be because I'm dumb. Who knows? But I don't know. Now let's get into, like, the nitty gritty of the end. I didn't like this end whatsoever. Okay, so essentially it ends, I think they're called the Eyes, or like the Watchers or something like that. Their logo is an eye, that much I know. They come to the house, and her romantic partner, who she's been secretly having relationships throughout this book, shows up. And I put that in quotations because, again, the characters aren't that well developed. I could care less about their character. Like, I forgot who he was until, like, she said it like 15 times. But they come and, like, they arrest her and they put her in a van. And then the book ends. Like, I felt like there needed to be, like, another chapter. Like, I get what the author was going for in terms of, oh, is she safe? Is she not? Like, I don't like it when authors do that with a first book. Like, if it's a part of the trilogy and it happens in the second book, like a cliffhanger, by all means, do the cliffhanger. You know, you've earned that right to do that cliffhanger at that point. But in the first book, like, we don't know what happens to her. Like, that just confused me. Like, they just take her out, and she's like, okay, I'm either going to be killed or I'm going to safety. And I was just like, okay, I guess. Like, I guess she's safe because, A, there's a sequel, but that could just be her in prison. I don't know. I don't care to find out. But, you know, her Boo Bear came and, like, picked her up, so who knows? Like, I'm really trying my best not to, like, bash this book and, like, because I get it, writing a book is hard. Like, I understand. And this premise, as I've stated, was really creative. Like, hats off to you for doing this and for what you've accomplished. And I'm really trying not to bash this book, but it's so hard when, like, I found so many problems. And there are people who love this book, which are fine. You know, you're entitled to love this book. I just didn't like it. I didn't see why. I can't understand specifically, except outside the premise, why people would like this book. I'm really not trying to be mean. It's just, like, my honest thoughts. I don't know. Like the ending, it's still, like, I'm still confused. Like, I felt like another page would have done better to, like, wrap everything up, at least. I mean, my goodness. I was just so confused, like, throughout the entire thing. And then the ending, I was hoping for some clarity. Or, like, something. Like, even if it's depressing, like 1984, like, at least some, like, clarity about what happens to everyone. But we don't know what happens to anyone. And I guess I'll never find out because I'm not interested in reading the sequel. I mean, by all means, if you want to tell me what happens in the sequel so I can get some, like, peace of mind, I guess, for this, then by all means, comment it down below, please. Or, like, on Goodreads or something, please. Because I'm not going to read it. I'm not going to listen to it. I have no interest in it. Yeah, I gave this book 3 stars. After this review, I might do 2.5, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to keep it at 3. I did 3 specifically because the premise I like so much. Like, the premise in itself is a 4 or 5 star. But then, like, the other things that I've mentioned, those are, you know, lesser. So that I couldn't decide on a rating. It definitely wasn't a 4 star. I don't think it's a 2 star, so I just gave it 3. But yeah, those were my thoughts and opinions on The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. Let me know what you thought about the book if you read it down below, or like the TV series. I've heard that that's better. So yeah, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And all my socials such as Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, those are down below too. See you in the next video. Bye!